Hi, everyone. I'm Jeremy Goldsmith, and this is going to be about Lake Tahoe and topographies in many forms is the title I'm giving this. Today, I'll be reviewing the research and cartographic process and some of our publication methods for the Lake Tahoe area. Trails Illustrated, Lake Tahoe Basin, Lake Tahoe Rim Trail, and Desolation and Granite Chief Wilderness areas are three distinct topographic map projects. These projects were part of National Geographic's effort to maintain and update the existing Lake Tahoe Basin Trails Illustrated map and build two new topographic map products. They give the modern recreation and adventure seeker options to know and discover a region that so many call their home and playground. According to a USDA publication in September of 2012, the Lake Tahoe Basin receives over 5 million visitors a year and is considered an urban forest, where residential areas are adjacent to forested lands. In the west, that visitation is greater than Rocky Mountain National Park, with its 4.4 million annual visitors as of 2017. Zion National Park's 4.5 million visitors, and just short of Grand Canyon National Park's 6.2 million visitors. The coverage of Trails Illustrated in the West is vast, and our maps cover a large swath of the Sierra Nevada, including Yosemite, Sequoia, and Kings Canyon National Parks. Personally, I believe the Lake Tahoe Basin has a unique quality that makes it nearly as special as other national parks in California's Sierra Nevada, and is represented by its annual visitors and residents. As Ernest Ferguson stated in his opening paragraph of his article in the March 1992 issue of National Geographic, Lake Tahoe is a mountain-locked jewel that has defied every effort to describe the pureness of its blue. And just for reference, all these images you're seeing in the slide are my images I've taken this past summer. And this is one of my favorites from my time there. The design of these three projects started with our existing map of the Lake Tahoe Basin. I was assigned this project by David Lambert, and this existing map was originally designed and produced back in 2006. And since then, we've done 7 minor consequential changes to the content, but this was a year in which we were going to do a complete overhaul to the map, to the existing Lake Tahoe Basin map, with updated data from various sources, and I'm going to go into some of the sources we used and the research that I did. I was tasked to completely overhaul the map, and it was a substantial data collection effort to organize raw data from dozens of providers and organizations. I wrangled the data from the national forests, state parks, state wildlife areas, one state forest in Nevada, counties, municipal districts, or special recreation districts, or utility districts, nonprofit organizations, ski areas, and over 20 Nordic ski areas. This is to me, it was like a data rodeo. The data was provided in a variety of formats, including shapefiles, geodatabases, PDFs, web services, trail reports, written descriptions, vlogs, videos. I did a lot of review of data in various formats for this project, and I didn't really get to ground truth, but Street View helped a little bit in certain cases just to verify certain information. In 1992, Dennis Machida, the former executive director of the California Tahoe Conservancy, described that his work was like a jigsaw puzzle. And the same could be said of my work to map the entire Lake Tahoe Basin. I worked with National Geographic senior cartographic editor Chris Knoll and on this project to update the content across the equivalent of 64 7.5-minute US topo. What Andy was referring to is the grid of the US topo at 24K. So we updated 64 of those quads in this project. I'm just going to provide a couple examples of the updates between the old map and the new map, and some examples of the content changes from our previous Lake Tahoe map to the new version include this Lake Tahoe water trail symbol. This symbol was actually done through a public process in the Lake Tahoe Basin to develop this one symbol, and that took months, if not years, to develop this one symbol, which you can see. Oh, what happened? So this one symbol can be seen in this new representation of Meeks Bay Resort. And I'll just keep on flipping between the two so you can see the content changes in the area. So we've also included underwater geographic names of diving areas, added specific note boxes related to recreation regulations. For example, on this image on the far right, it's kind of hard to see, so I'm going to try to do this real quick. Let's see if this works. So, right there is a no camping symbol for Fanet Island, which is an island inside of Emerald Bay. We added some regional parks and local open space information that was coming from county data. Modified the ski area boundaries for all 15 ski resorts in the Lake Tahoe region, and improved the clipping mass for the coastline of Lake Tahoe and its bathymetry. So in the old map, it's going to be hard to see, obviously, on this again, but I'm not going to try it. Whatever. Therefore, we made comprehensive changes to the original Lake Tahoe Basin map, and in turn, as the base in our master map content, this affected other cartographic choices throughout the 2 additional projects that I was assigned in the coverage area. For example, a prime area to show the difference between all 3 products is near Echo Lakes, just outside Desolation Wilderness, and in proximity to US Highway 50 and the city of South Lake Tahoe. This is our previous version of Trails Illustrated in that area. Hopefully you can make out some of the detail. I didn't realize how this was going to translate to screen when making the presentation, but and this is the new one. A lot of the content is the same, but we've updated the color of the horse trails, badges, annotations to the map in note box form for specific regulations. And overall, this is the coverage area for the map, and our map is at 63K. We included feedback and collaboration with Forest Service units in the region, and it includes an updated trail network, a datum change from NAD 20. Our original map was in NAD 27, and we're converting all of our maps to UTM NAD 83, UTM zones in NAD 83. And once we had the mastering content place, I was ready to create the derivative projects that I was assigned. So the layout of the Tahoe Rim Trail is published in a booklet format, and we're working with the Tahoe Rim Trail Association, the nonprofit that manages the trail, the specific trail in the region. We modified our existing content to fit this booklet form, and this is the coverage area for the booklet. To focus on the center line of the trail. The Tahoe Rim Trail, for those of you who don't know, was conceived in 1978 and completed in 2001. This 175-mile TRT circumnavigates the beautiful Lake Tahoe Basin and traverses some of the most spectacular scenery in the Sierra Nevada and Carson Range. And we used the same scale for this project at 63/360. 1 inch equals 1 mile, and subtle changes were incorporated to accentuate the featured center line in relationship to peripheral recreation content. And I'm going to flip between our master content and the new one, the long distance trail, the Tahoe Trail. So these are the same coverage area, but two different projects for two different purposes, for specific purposes. We modified the colors and sizes of other trails, symbols, and administrative areas, in addition to adding or modifying map annotations. And as you can see, the center line of the highlighted trail changes to a yellow, and it pops a little bit more because that product, the Tahoe Rim Trail product, is focused for the long distance hiker or the section hiker in the region that wants to focus on completing the 175 miles of the Tahoe Rim Trail. Once the Tahoe Rim Trail project was completed, I then moved on to the product of Desolation and Granite Chief wilderness areas. Similarly, this product would reflect a classic Trails Illustrated style similar to the base map, yet at similar to the master, yet at 1 to 40,000 in scale, and includes specific information pertaining to backcountry zones and permitting information and any other specific regulations for the wilderness areas. So the wilderness specific map, as seen here, Desolation Wilderness is actually subdivided into backcountry overnight zones to help manage impacts by hikers and stock users. Using a subtle teal highlight and teal numbers, a user can distinguish which zone to target when applying for an overnight permit. And all the specific zones are in the marginalia of the printed map, which actually is probably going to press right now and getting printed. In particular, there are some zones throughout the Desolation Wilderness that have tighter regulations with designated campsites. So they're high impact zones, and for specific reasons, the forest wants to indicate to users just to camp in specific designated sites in the wilderness. So this is symbolized and annotated on this map, which is probably going to be hard to see, but with the pen, I might be able to do this. So this lake right here, there's actually like 7 or 8 specific campsites on the map, showing those specific sites that you can only camp in for that lake. So consequently, after many months of research and work, I was driven to experience the Tahoe Rim Trail and Basin in person. There was a glaring cognitive disconnect between my local knowledge and my local experience, and I had to close this gap. This project, as a backcountry enthusiast and a wilderness enthusiast, I had to go to this place now that I had mapped it. Thus, I took a vacation to Tahoe and beta tested my Tahoe Rim Trail product by hiking the Tahoe Rim Trail over 13 days. And although I have plenty of experience hiking and orienteering with print topographic maps, there was an added bonus of combining a print product with the digital version. And we might all be addicted to the little blue dot on our phones, and I'm no exception. Thus, we actually distribute our print maps on digital platforms such as Gaia GPS, Avenza Maps, and Topo Maps Plus. And if you want to learn more about this after the presentation, come talk to me about these 3 different products that we distribute our paper maps on. And they work on various hardware and software platform combinations. So the Tahoe Rim Trail, I walked 160 out of 175 miles over 12 days and 11 nights, so 93% of the trail, and I took 1 day off. Using the map and app in combination was the best of both worlds. Each world provided a different focus, a different hierarchy of information. So in my experience, using other digital apps, the apps tend to focus on the content of the trail in an almost linear form, and while using the app, my focus and attention was driven by, say, the community and the center line and in reviewing some other apps that are out there for the trail, there are some other apps out there that focus on just the trail. It's like crowdsourced photos and videos and user reviews and real or near-time updates of water information. It provided like it's almost minute statistics or metrics in a kind of horse blinding recreational experience. And ultimately, the outcome is an enhanced sense of community and social belonging with other trail users. But with the paper product, it tended to focus my attention toward overall spatial awareness and alternative routes in case of an emergency, critical thought, exploring points of interest nearby, and preparedness before and during the trip. The paper map focused my attention towards the context of place in relationship to the ecosystem as a whole, its hydrology, its geology, transitions between distinct areas in private and public land, and the forest as a whole. Ultimately, to me, that enhanced my sense of discovery, wonder, and maybe a little like trail magic, as people say out there on the trail. I believe one method should not be outweighed from another, and I believe it's just a matter of preference. And my personal opinion is both in combination is the best. It's the best of both worlds. So I'm just going to open. Can we have time for open for questions and discussion? I'm going to let some slides go, and we can. These are some photos from my trip, and it was during July 4th, so it was pretty cool. Yeah, go ahead, Nate. Yeah, so we have on all of our map products contact information for users to submit feedback, and we actually have a database of customer feedback, and we go through that content and incorporate either we review all that, and if it is content specific and data specific, we review it, and then if the user is right, we update the trail or say some information related to that user input. I hope that answers. And also, but when I was out there, no one else had the paper product yet. I was the only one with the paper product on the trail. But I should look to see if there's other feedback now that the product's been out for some months. I also just want to acknowledge the team that I work with. I can't do my work without them. They're a great team to work with, and all of my collaborators and professors, educators over the years to get me to where I'm at now. So thank you very much.
I think we have time for 2 questions for any of our speakers. In the back. Okay. The question is, how long does it take to create one of these maps?
So, yeah, the first one took the longest because it was new data from all those sources that I talked about in the beginning. And that helped create the second and the third product. So the first one, on average, our Trails Illustrated maps take about 3 months, 3 to 4 months to create from start to finish. So but the reason why this one took a little extra time is because California is a complicated state, and with all the different layers of data coming from so many different sources, it's truly a rodeo out there. In this map in particular crossed 2 state lines, 2 states and 1 state line. So it was a haul. This one takes a little bit longer than other maps actually because of the people that live there and the people that visit. There's just a lot of content, a lot of data to generate for this scale.
One more?
That's our new standard.
Was there a big discussion between switching between NAD 27 and NAD 83?
I don't know the history of why we're doing that, but that's our new standard to be in NAD 83. We can talk later.
Thank you, everybody. This is the last session of NACIS.